everyone, and welcome to my Christmas card series for 2016. I'm super excited that this is my third year in a row doing this, and we have lots of giveaways coming up, which I'll explain at the end of the video. So for day one's card, I'm going to be creating a quite quick and simple card. It's using some distress ink, which, as you know, if you subscribe to my channel, I use very often. I'm going to be using some masking tape from 3M, and what I did was I freehand cut a snowbank. So I just simply did a curved line and cut it out. You could also use a die cut if you're not too sure with your scissors, but freehand is just fine. You don't need any special supplies. If you don't have masking tape or masking paper, you can also use Post-it notes or some computer paper, but computer paper you would have to hold down with your hand. I'm going to be stamping a couple of stamps here from So Susie Stamps. This is the Blowing Snowflakes tree and the Star of Bethlehem. Now the tree here is really cool. I love that this is the winter edition of it, but there's also a spring, summer, and fall featuring flowers, butterflies, and falling leaves, and they're perfect for so many occasions other than just the seasons, but they're really great for seasonal cards as well. I'll link to them below in the video description if you'd like to check them out or if you're interested at all. I absolutely adore these stamps. They're really big and a good focal point for your cards. So now that I've stamped these in VersaFine ink, I'm going to be covering them with some white embossing powder. I'm using just regular embossing powder, nothing super fine or anything, and I'm going to melt the embossing powder using my heat tool. Now because it's white on white, it's difficult to see, so I'm going to skip over this process, but you'll know that the embossing powder is melted when your card is glossy. To make the night sky, I'm going to leave my snowbank that's on the bottom there, and I'm going to start off with some tumbled glass ink. Now I'm putting you in fast motion. Obviously it takes a while and some patience to build up some color. I'm using a very light hand, not putting any pressure. I'm going in a circular motion to avoid any sort of harsh lines, and I'm starting on my craft mat and working my way in. A craft mat is an essential tool for this process because it creates a really slick surface for your blending tool to slide over. Starting off on the craft mat and working into your card helps avoid harsh lines because some of the ink is taken off on the card mat before going into the card itself. I didn't want to go quite all the way to the bottom with a really dark blue color because the snow would reflect a lot of light into the night sky as well. So I wanted to create an ombre tone with light colors on the bottom, almost white, to the tumbled glass light blue, and then finally to the dark color on top. I had originally started with faded jeans, but either my sponge was dirty or the color was just too dark for the night sky for my liking. So what I decided to do was switch colors, and I used Chip Sapphire. It's a little bit more of a royal blue, and I think it's more appropriate for the night sky. The embossing powder is going to resist the color, but if you do find that the embossing powder is getting a little bit dirty with ink, you can take a dry baby wipe or you can take a paper towel and wipe it clean. It will take all the ink off of the embossed areas because the ink should resist it. I'm going back in now with some tumbled glass ink, which is the ink we used beforehand, and just going back into that color to make sure everything's blending nicely and we don't have any harsh lines between the colors. I'm also going to remove the masking tape, which has kept our snowbank as a very clear, crisp, bright white. The next thing I needed to do was stamp my sentiment. Now I'm going to use the O Holy Night sentiment, and I'm going to use my Mini Misty to stamp it. The reason why I'm using my Mini Misty is because if at this point I've put in so much work into my card, if my sentiment were to screw up and not stamp properly now, it's really difficult to line it up because it's a cling stamp, and also I don't want to ruin my card. So what I can do here is if I don't ink it up properly, or if it doesn't ink stamp all the way, or anything like that, that happens when stamping now and again, you can stamp over in the exact same spot. That's the beauty of the Misty. It's my absolute favorite stamping tool for 2016, and I've even created a video on 10 ways to use it. I'm just going to stamp it twice just to really bring out that sentiment. I always stamp my sentiments in black in VersaFine Black Onyx ink because it's the most crisp black ink in my opinion that I've tried so far. I'm grabbing some Tombow Mono liquid adhesive, just some plain liquid glue, and I'm going to glue this card panel onto a card base. It's a horizontal card and it folds at the top. So that's the end of my card video today. The giveaway from So Susie Stamps is sponsored by So Susie Stamps, and it's the Blowing Snowflake stamp. So just leave a comment and let me know what your favorite holiday stamp is in order to win. I'll draw all the winners at the end of the series, which will be on November 18th. Here's a final look at today's card, and I hope you enjoyed today's video tutorial. I'll be back tomorrow with a video featuring Concord and Ninth. Thank you so much for watching.